Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Pimlico Racecourse here on Saturday. It is May the 18th, 2019. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on the program from Pimlico, including the Preakness. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And if you're interested, today in England at Newbury's the Lock-In Stakes, it's a great Group 1 mile race. And I did a preview for that here on YouTube, so go check that out. But today's card from Pimlico is great. Some very wide open races, the nice weather, and it doesn't get any better than that. So let's look at the stakes races. Races 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So we'll go over that one more time. So races 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So let's get on to it. The third race from Pimlico, it is the Sir Barton Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Race for 3-year-olds here. Field of 6 horses going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16th on the Pimlico main track. 1,700 meters, a mile 1/16th. And I show the diagram. It just gives me that one little second to look down at my notes. Just bear with me. Sorry, I'm stupid. I can't do two things at the same time. But the Sir Barton Stakes is kind of like Saturday Night Live, I say. It's those horses just not quite ready for prime time just yet. You know, it's a good race here. They're not ready for the Preakness, so they're going to run here. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 3-horse King for a Day. I'm going to go 3-1-5 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 3-1-5 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection, 3-horse King for a Day. 3 Colt by Uncle Mo. Tom Pletcher trains. John Velasquez gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came 24th of November at Churchill. Mile and 1/16th on the slop in the Kentucky Jockey Club. The horse finished 4th by 2 lengths. Had a wide post draw. Sat back early. Had a little bit of a turn of foot. Looked like he was going to get away with it, but then he just kind of got overtaken. Singleman just ran that hell of a race. Singleman went on to have a great, is having a good 2019. The second place finisher, Plus Coup Parfait, went on to win the UAE Derby at Maidan, and then went on to run a crap race in the Kentucky Derby. But this horse, he just never got that good kick there. Before that, he ran the 4th of October at Belmont, 1 mile 1/16th in main special weight for 75 grand. He won by 2 1/4 lengths. He sat on the front running all throughout, and just went away with a very nice victory there. He ran well, and then at Saratoga, 6 furlongs, main special weight 85,000. He finished third by 10 1/4 lengths, and he didn't have the best trips that day. He's not a one-turn horse. I think he's gonna like the 2-turn mile on the 16th. He's getting a dry track today also, which should suit him. He's been training well down on Palm Beach, and like I said, I think he'll run well. At 7-5, I'll take him to start off the card. So to recount my selection for the third from Pimlico, it's Sir Barton. Gonna go with the 3-horse King for a Day. I'm gonna go 3-1-5 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. It's race number 5. Race number 5 from Pimlico, it's the James W. Murphy Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. This race is for 3-year-olds. We have a field of 10 horses heading to post, a distance of ground of 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Pimlico Turf Course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile turf course. Rails at 0 feet this afternoon. My top selection, I'm going to go to the number 6 horse, Or Film. I'm going to go 6-1-2-5 in the superfecta. 6-1-2-5 super. Top selection of 6-horse War Film will be used in a multi-race along with the 1-horse Shoot in the Breeze. I think at 10-1 he could definitely get a piece of it. And the 2-horse Current is another horse I think could get a piece of it. So I'd go 3 deep here. But the top selection of 6-horse War Film. 3 Colt by Declaration of War. Steve Asmussen trains. Ricardo Santana Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 4th of May at Churchill. Mile 1/16th in the Grade 2 American Turf. He finished 5th by 1 3/4 lengths there. He had a great turn of foot that day. He was closing up well. He just couldn't get that, good acceleration. Came a little bit too late, but I still thought he ran well there. Before that, the Grade 3 Transylvania at Keeneland, a mile 16th, April the 5th. He finished 4th by 1 1/4 lengths again. He was really closing up in the back of the pack. It was a good run. And then at the Fairgrounds, about a mile 16th, at Alps 50 Claimer. He won by half length. Closed up from last after a horrible beginning. It was a great comeback victory for him. The way the turf course was was running on Friday. It was playing towards closers like him. You're going to see him close from the clouds with a good pace in front of him, with a good poster at 9-2. I think he'd get a piece of it. So I'll use him along with the one horse Shooting the Breeze, another bit of a closer here. 3 Colt by Hardspun. He's getting blinkers on today. It makes me wonder, will he go to the front end? But Grand Motion trains. John Velasquez, the veteran, gets the mount. This horse hasn't been seen since the 12th of April, so 6 weeks ago at Keeneland, a mile 16th in a lounge race, 72,000. He finished third by 1.5 lengths. It was very wide that day, but he stayed the trip well. It was a good race for him. Before that, at Gulfstream, 1 mile off 5 claimer. It was an improvement off the race before. He finished second by 2 lengths. He sat towards the backpack early, a little bit wide, but he closed up well. And then throughout his Diana Beach at Gulfstream, 1 mile, February 3rd, where the horse finished 7th by 10 lengths. Didn't break all that well and just had nothing. I like him a lot coming here to Pimlico. She'll like the turns here, the way the course is situated. He has a good poster. Johnny V knows with the race course well. Like I said, he can get another piece of it, along with the 2-horse Current, another closer here. It's 3 Colt by Curlin. Todd Pletcher trains. Javier Castellano, who had a great Friday afternoon, gets the leg up. This horse ran the Florida Derby a few weeks ago at Gulfstream, and he finished 5th by 11.25 lengths. He's not a dirt horse. His 2 worst races have come on dirt. It didn't break all that well, and just throw the race out. He's not a dirt horse. Before that, in the Diana Beach, he finished 3rd by 4 lengths going at Gulfstream, going a mile trip. That day, he sat back early after not the best beginnings. Was a little bit wide, but he still ran decently at the end. And then before then, the Kentucky Jockey Club on dirt, he finished 7th by 12 lengths. Didn't break all that well, and just did not like the dirt. And then before that, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, wet turf course he didn't like, just never got into it. His better races have come on dry turf courses routing. He's going to get a dry turf course again today, and I think at 4-1 he'll improve also, so I'll definitely use him on a multi-race ticket. So to recount my selection for the 5th from Pimlico, it's James W. Murphy. As a top selection, I'll use the 6-horse War Film. I'll go 6-1-2-5 in the superfecta, 6-1-2 in the multis. So now let's get to race number 6 from Pimlico. It is the Maryland Sprint. It's a grade 3 event going for a purse of $150,000. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses going the distance of ground of 1,200 meters, or the distance of ground of 6 furlongs on the Gulfstream, on the Pimlico main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs here in the Maryland Sprint. Sorry, not Gulfstream, Pimlico. This race is best remembered by the 1999 running, when Artax got interfered with by a drunk on the racetrack, took a swung at him, and cost Artax the race with Georgie Chavez. By the way, after that race, I think Artax, won every race after that, and went on to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Gulfstream. That's why Gulfstream was on the mind. And he broke the track record of Mr. Prospector in that Breeders' Cup Sprint. Artax, very underrated horse when you go back through the ages, but that's, his run in this race was very, you'll always remember it. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 1-horse New York Central. I'm going to go 175 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 175 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Again, a very wide open race. I'm going to go 3 deep in my pick 3. That begins off at race number 5. But the top selection, 1-horse New York Central, 4-year-old Colt by Tappet. Steve Asmussen trains. Ricardo Santana Jr. gets the leg up. The horse is most recent out. He came 6th of April at Keeneland. 7 furlongs in the grade 3 Commonwealth. It was his second off the break, and he finished 5th by 1.25 lengths. He was a little bit wide, had a little bit of a turn of foot, but he needed to get over that final so-called hurdle. I think here, back to 6 furlongs, second off the break. He'll really run a lot better. Before that, he ran the 18th of February at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs and ops 50 claimer. He won by 1.25 lengths. He was much the best. He started, he got the lead, and then he took off clear. A very good run. And then he ran last year's Pat Day Mile at Churchill on the slop, 1 mile May the 5th. He finished second by 4.75 lengths. He sat mid-pack early, had a little bit of a turn of foot, but, Funny Duck just got to him. And then he ran the Sunland Derby last year, where he finished 10th by 17.75 lengths. He pressed, but just couldn't get into it at the end, weakened out of it. The winner Runaway Ghost just was on a runaway closing that day. But they tried this horse routing. I think the back to a 6 furlong sprint, that's what he wants to do. He's been training well, and I think he's sitting on a very good run at 6-1. You better go to the window on him, along with the 7-horse Performa. This 5-year-old given by Munnings. Michael Stidham trains. Jose Ortiz gets the leg up. This horse hasn't been seen since the 20th of April at Laurel, 5.5 on the firm turf course in the King Leatherberry Stakes. He finished third by a length. He sat back early after not the best beginnings, had a great turn of foot. You know, he rode a good race, Trevor McCarthy. It was a good run first off the break. Before that, his last dirt race came in the Thanksgiving handicap at the fairgrounds, 6 furlongs, 22nd of November. He finished second by a length there. And again, he didn't break all that well, was wide, but he still ran a good effort there. And then the Belmont Turf Sprint at Belmont, 6 furlongs inner turf course, October the 6th. He finished fourth by 1/4 lengths. You know, he's wide and just weakened out of it. But his dirt races, I think, have been better. He's the kind of horse that could stalk, and the track was playing a little bit towards closers in some races yesterday. And I think he could close up well. 3-1. I'll give him a shot. And I think another horse, the 5 horse, Always Sunshine, off the break and run a big race. He's a first-time gelding. He was gelded back all the way. He was reported as a gelding all the way back in January. So he's been a gelding at least 5 months now, which I think is good. So it's not a recent operation. So he's had time to recover. But his most recent outing came in the Gravesend at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs on the 23rd of December, where he finished 5th by 12.5 lengths. And he was wide and just didn't have anything. It wasn't the day to win. Before that, in the fall highway to handicap at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs on Thanksgiving, he finished third by 1.5 lengths. He did have the high weight, of a high weight of 130 pounds there, which probably got to him at the end. He set the pace early on, but then he just kind of hit the wall. And then he ran the Breeze Cup Sprint, where he ran 9th against tougher horse. He couldn't get into it. But in these Mid-Atlantic Sprint races, he's done very well. He's 1 for 1 here at Pimlico again, and he's been training well. At 5:20, he's the wise guy horse. I'm going to use him on the ticket. He's either going to run a massive race or he's going to finish dead last. I'll use him on the ticket as insurance. So to recap my selection for the 6th from Pimlico, it's the Grade 3 Maryland Sprint. As a top selection, I'll use the 1 horse New York Central. I'll go 175 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta, and like I said, I'll go 175 in the Maltese. So now let's get to race. Race number 7 from Pimlico. It's the inaugural running of the Searching Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses going the distance of ground here that hasn't been running quite a while. The distance of ground of 2,400 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/2 on the Pimlico Turf Course. 2,400 meters, 1.5 miles. And like everybody was talking about yesterday, Pimlico Special, mile and a quarter. When was the last mile and a quarter race? It was somewhere in the early 2000s, I believe 2000. The last mile and a half race at Pimlico was around 2002. So it's been quite a while since they've run a mile and a half on this turf course. But I think it's I like these added distance races, and I think this is a great race with the because they were missing this kind of long turf race in May for the fillies and mares, and now they have it. And I hope in the next few years this race grows and grows. But my top selection here in the inaugural Searching Stakes, I'm going to go to the number 2 horse, Homeland Security. I'm going to go 293 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 293 Tri-Cash Trifecta. The top selection 2 horse will be used on the multi-race ticket. And we'll talk about the other 2 in a second, but the 2 horse, Homeland Security, the 5-year-old mare by Smart Strike. Christophe Camont trains. Ira Ortiz Jr. gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came 29th of March at Gulfstream, mile 3/8 in the Grade 3 Orchid Stakes. The horse finished 7th by 4 1/4 lengths. Stalked early on, but then she just weakened out of it. First off the break, she desperately needed the race. I think second off, with the extra furlong today to suit her, I think she'll run well. Keep in mind, the first place finisher, Santa Monica, won next start out in the Sheepshead Bay a few weeks ago at Belmont. And the second place finisher, Ikimako, won the next start out in the Bewitch at Keelan, and is running here today, but she just couldn't keep up there. Before that, 28th of October at Belmont, on a very heavy turf course, mile and a half in the Zagora Stakes, the horse won by a half length. She stalked early on, a little bit wide, but she fought a good race on very wet ground. It was a good run for this horse there. And then at Saratoga on the 1st of September, mile 3/8 in the Grade 2 Glen Falls, the horse finished 8th by 8 lengths, was wide, and they just ran too slow early on to catch the winner, Lady Montador, who just ran that better race. And then at Belmont, a mile and a half on the Widener, back in July in the River Memories, she won by a length. She sat back early. She closed up well. It was a very good run. She loves the mile and a half trip. She's 2 for 2 at it. She's a good poster today. She could sit closer. She come from behind. 9-2. I just think she'll run well. So we're gonna sing her to end off my pick 3 here. The other 2 horses, the 9 horse and the And the both horses I have in my trifecta, they're both entered for a race at Belmont on Sunday, which looks like it's going to be a great race. Hopefully, I'll cover it here on YouTube. But they're both loaded too. They're both like the mile and a half trip also. But do they run? That's the biggest question. But I think Homeland Security is still much the best on paper. But to recap my selections for the 7th from Pimlico, it's the inaugural running of the Searching Stakes. Let's go to the 2-horse Homeland Security. I'm gonna go 293 in the tri-cash trifecta, single the 2-horse in the pick 3. Let's get to race number 9 from Pimlico. It is the Very One Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses going the distance of ground of 1,000 meters or the distance of ground of 5 furlongs on the Pimlico turf course. 1,000 meters, 5 furlongs. My top selection in the Very One, I'm going to go to the number 6 horse, Jojo Air. I'm going to go 682 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 682 Tri-Cash Trifecta. The pick 5, that's $1 million guarantee, begins off with this race. I'm going to go 6-8 to begin it off. So 6-8 in the pick 5, but the top selection is 6 horse, Jojo Air. 3-year-old filled by Scat Daddy, Wesley Ward trains, John Velasquez gets the mounts. The horse's most recent appearance came the 27th of April at Churchill, 5 furlongs in the William Walker Stakes. This horse upsetted the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner Bulletin that day. This horse won by 3/4 length. He was off and on the lead with Bulletin, and he just had the jump on him. He quickened up nicely. It was a very good run for this horse there off the break. Before that, the 11th of January at Gulfstream, 5 furlongs off 75 claimer. He finished 4th by 4.5 lengths there. He didn't break all that well, and he just never got into it. It wasn't the day to win. And then the 18th of November at the Fairgrounds, about 5.5 in the main special weight, 38,000. He won by 5 1/4. He stalked, he got the lead, and then he took off. He was much the best that day, even though the race before he wasn't much the best in the Indian Summer at Keelan, 5.5 furlongs, October the 7th. He finished 12th by 12 lengths. Set the pace early on after not the best beginnings, but then he weakened out of it, couldn't keep up. He's a very quick horse here. He's been training well since the last race. I think he's sitting on another good run, good poster at 3-1. I think he'd get away with it, but say he doesn't get away with it, I think the 8 horse Miss Concordia, hopefully I said that right, probably didn't, but pardon that. It's 5-0 mare by Dancel here. Jevian Toledo gets the leg up. I think this horse got a piece of it. His most recent outing came 28th of April at Belmont on Yielding Turf Course, 6 furlongs in the License Fee Stakes. The horse finished 6th by 4.5 lengths there, and just had nothing. The ground was very wet, which I don't think she liked. I think with a firmer ground today, I think she'd get a better pace from the back to close up with. Before that, at Gulfstream on firm ground, 5 furlongs on the Captiva Island. She finished 5th by 2 1/4 lengths. That day, she stalked that day, which I don't think was the right decision. She kind of weakened out of it at the end. It wasn't the day to win. And then at Laurel, 5.5 on the 25th of October, and off 35 claimer. He won by by 2 lengths there. Sat towards the back pack, was very wide, got the lead, and then took off clear. It was a very good victory. And then again on Yielding Ground at Laurel, going 6 furlongs in the Sensible Lady Turf Dash. She finished 5th by 4 1/4 lengths. She didn't break all that well. Had to steady a few times, and her wheels were spinning. She did not like that wet turf course. She's going to see a very dry turf course today, and I think she'll close up well with it. At 4-1, I'm definitely going to use her in the pick 5. So to recount my selection for the 9th from Pimlico, it's the Very One Stakes. Gonna go with the 6 horse Jojo Air. I'm gonna go 682 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta, 6-8 in the pick 5 to race number 10. Race number 10 from Pimlico, it's the Gallaret Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a purse of $150,000. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses heading to the lawn, the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16 on the Pimlico turf course. 1,700 meters, 1 mile and 1/16. The pick 4 begins off with this race. It's $2 million guaranteed. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 2 horse Inflexibility. I'm going to go 2819 in the superfecta, 2819 super. Top selection of 2 horse Inflexibility. This 5-year-old mare by Scat Daddy. Chad Brown trains. Javier Castellano gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came the 21st of October at Belmont, a mile 16th inner turf course in the grade 3 Athenia. The horse finished 6th by 9.5 lengths there. It was wide and just didn't have anything. It wasn't the day to win, but the ground was wet. I think coming here to Pimlico, a standard 2-turn mile 16th. She'll run a lot better. Before then, the Grade 2 Canadian at Woodbine, about a mile and eighth on the EP Terra Lawn, September the 15th. She finished third by 3 3/4 lengths. She was wide and she just couldn't get the good closing kick until very late. And then before that, the 11th of August at Arlington, a mile 3/16 in the Beverly D. She finished fifth by 2 lengths. She stalked from a wide post drop, but then she just never had the turn of foot. Sister Charlie just had a great turn of foot and won there, and then won next start out in the Bridge Cup Filly Mare Turf, and the second place finisher 4-star Crook won next start out also, and then she ran the Dan Smartly at Woodbine, a mile and a quarter, where she finished second behind Santa Monica. This horse was just wide and just couldn't get the turn of foot like Santa Monica did, but I like her coming back to a standard mile in a 116 trip. Has been training well at 3-1. I'll use her here. Back to the multi-race. Forgot to give you my multi-race numbers. Definitely use my 2-horse and flexibility, and I'll also use the 8 and the 1. The 8-horse Viva Vegas, 5-year-old mare by the Factor. When I think of Factor, I think of sprinting 6 furlongs on dirt, not routing on turf, but this horse likes to route. Jose Ortiz gets the leg up. This horse hasn't been seen since the Dahlia Stakes at Laurel a few weeks ago. 1 mile on quite firm ground. Well, not quite firm ground. It was a soft decided firm ground. April 20th, where the horse finished third by a neck. He sat mid-pack most race, had a little traffic trouble, but really closed up well at the end. It was a decent effort there. Before then, the Grade 2 Hillsborough Tampa, mile 8th, March the 9th. The horse finished fifth by 3.5 lengths. Had a little trouble trip. She just couldn't get into it. It wasn't the day to win. And then the Grade 3 Endeavor at Tampa, mile 16th, February the 9th. The horse finished second by half length. Hawksmoor ran a hell of a race in the front end. This horse had a little bit of a turn of foot. Well, a lot of bit of a turn of foot. She just couldn't get to Hawksmoor, who was, I believe, in full that day. I know she's retired now, but she still ran a hell of a race there on the front end. And then at Tampa, mile 16th, Option 100 Claimer. She finished third by 3/4 length. She should have won that day. I picked her that day. I remember this race so clear. She just stalked most of the race from a wide post run. She just never turned the foot. It wasn't the day to win, but I like her coming here back to the Mid-Atlantic, where she's run her better races. She's versatile. She could set the pace, or she come from behind, like she's showing this winter at Tampa. So, Jose Ortiz is a smart rider. He knows what he's going to do with her at 5-1. She could definitely get a piece of it, along with the 1-horse I'm So Fancy. 5-year-old mare here, Arnaud Delacour, trains. Florent Giroux, the Frenchman, gets the leg up. First start stateside, first start Lasix. Most recently, the horse ran on the 16th of September at the Curragh in Ireland. Mile a quarter on good soft ground in the Group 2 Blandford Stakes. She finished third by 3/4 length there. She had a little bit of a turn of foot, but again, it wasn't enough to win. Before then, the Group 3 Snow Ferry Stakes at the Curragh, mile and 8th on soft ground. She won by half length there. She stalked, she got the lead, and she held on to a very nice victory. It won by half length, but you have to remember, in England, when the horse wins, they pull the horse up, so they don't win by a dozen. So half length, it was still a very good run there. And then before then, the Parisian Romant at Deauville, she finished fifth by 2 1/4 lengths. She set the pace, but then she kind of hit the wall. It wasn't the day to win, but I think I like her coming here on firm ground. Good posture. She's versatile. She could stalk or she could set the pace. So Florent Giroux knows what he's going to do. At 7-2, I'll use her. So to recount my selection for the 10th from Pimlico, it's the Grade 3 Gala Red. I'm going to use the 2-horse and flexibility as a top selection. I'm going to go 2-8-1-9 in the superfecta. I'll go 2-8-1 in the multi-race pick 5 or pick 4. So now let's get to race number 11. Race number 11 from Pimlico, it's the Chick Lang Stakes. It's a Grade 3 event going for a purse of $200,000. This race is for 3-year-olds here. 9 3-year-olds are going the distance of ground of 1,200 meters or the distance of ground of 6 furlongs on the Pimlico main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs, main track. My top selection, the Chick Lang, I'm going to go to the number 3 horse, Malpace. I'm going to go 3-8-7 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 3-8-7 Tri-Cash Trifecta. To the multi-race, I'm going to go 3-8 here. I think it's a 2-horse race between those two, so we'll have to go light somewhere. But the top selection of 3 horse, Malpace. The trio called by Hardspun. Joe Sharp trains. Luis Saez gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came the 20th of April at Charlestown. 7 furlongs in the Robert Hilton Memorial. He won by 4.5. He broke on top. He set the lead on lead all throughout. It was a very good, easy victory. He handled the bull ring course there, much the best. Before that, the fairground 6 furlongs off 50 Claimer. He won by 5 1/4. He had 3 other rivals that day, and the second place finishers both won next start out. Second and third place finishers both won next start out. But this horse, he was on lead all throughout, and he could have run around another 3 times, and nobody was going to catch him. It was a very easy run. And then he ran in an option 50 Claimer at the fairground 6 furlongs, February 28th. He finished second by 1/4 lengths. He set the pace, but then he got caught right in the stretch run, but he still ran well. He's run 3 very good races as of recently. Actually, all of his races were good except one where he ran the LeCompte around mile 70 at the fairgrounds. He's not a router. He likes sprinting. He's back to his sprinting trip. He's gets Luis Saez up. He's been training well. I think he'll run a massive race along with the 8-horse Premible. This 3-year-old colt by Spicetown. Rudolph Brissett trains. Florent Giroux gets the leg up. This horse's most recent out came 6th of April. Keelan, 7 furlongs optional 100 claimer, and the horse went by 2 3/4 lengths. He didn't break all that well. He stalked, he got the lead, and then he took off clear. Other than that, it was a very good run. Before that, option 5 claimer Keelan, 6 furlongs, October the 19th. That's he won by a half length. He stalked, and he got the victory, but he didn't break all that well. And he looked weird for the first 100 yards or so. And then at Church, 6 furlongs, main special weight 56,000. He won by 1.5 lengths. He was almost on lead all throughout. And he just won easily. Out of all the races, that was a subpar race, but he still won. He's 3 for 3. He likes sprinting. He gets stalked. He set the pace. At 5-2, he's another horse. I'll definitely get a piece of it, so I'll use him on the ticket. So to recount my selection for the 11th from Pimlico, it's the Grade 3 Chick Lang. Gonna use the 3-horse Mall Pace as a top selection. I'm gonna go 3-8-7 in the TriCast Trifecta, 3-8 in the multi-race. Let's get to the featured 12th race, the co-feature tell. Race number 12 from Pimlico, it is the Dixie Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a purse of $250,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of a dozen horses, 12 horses going the distance of ground of a mile, of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16th on the Pimlico turf course. 1,700 meters, a mile 1/16th. And I've been, I love this race, but I always hated it. Back in 2015, I believe, they decreased the distance of this race back to a mile and the 16th, which I don't like. I think at a mile and 8th, you have those better finishes for this race, but it's still always a good race. My top selection here in the Dixie, I'm going to go to the number 11 horse, Inspector Lindley. I'm going to go 11-2-7-12 in the superfecta. 11-2-7-12 super. To the multi-race, I'm going to go 11-2-7 in the multi-race pick 5. I'm not going to use the 12-horse Catholic Boy. I think he's beatable here. But the top selection is 11-horse Inspector Lindley. The 6-year-old horse by Lemon Drop Kid. Shug McGahee trains. Jose Lascano gets the leg up, who's having a great year. I think riding in New York this winter really suited him well, and he's getting these big mounts. But Inspector Lindley's most recent outing came 7th of April at Aqueduct. 1 mile in the Danger's Hour Stakes on a quick rest of 2 weeks. A quick turnaround of 2 weeks. He won by a length there. He sat back early by a lot. He closed up well at the end, and he went away with it. It was a very good run for him. Before that, 2 weeks earlier in the Muniz Memorial at the Fairgrounds, a mile on the 8th, March the 23rd, he finished 6th by 3.5 lengths behind Bricks and Mortar, who won next start out in the Turf Classic at Churchill a few weeks ago. This horse, he didn't break it that well, and he was wide. He just never got into it. It wasn't the day to win. And then at Tampa, in the Tampa Bay Stakes, going a mile 16th, he won by a half length. It was his first win, God knows when. First win outside of Saratoga, God knows when. He sat back early, he closed up well, and it was a very, very good run there. Before that, if you look at his races in the fall last year, he ran okay in spots and then crap in some other spots, but his race of the year last year had to be the Lure Stakes at Saratoga, going a mile 16th on the Melon, which he won by 3/4 length, closing up from the clouds after a horrible trip early on. It was a very good run. He should like the firm ground. He's gonna have to overcome a wide post draw, but I think he's good enough to win at 7-2. Just look at the horses he finished behind, Bricks and Mortar, and Glorious Empire. There's some decent horses he finished behind. Like I said, I think he's sitting on a good race, so I'll use him here as a top selection. Along with the number 2 horse, Just Howard, at 10-1. I think he's my prize play here. 5-year-old horse by English Channel. Grand Motion trains. Trevor McCarthy, the local rider, gets the leg up. Blinkers off. The horse's most recent outing came at Laurel on the 20th of April. 1 mile in the Henry Clark Stakes. He finished 4th by 3/4 length. He didn't have the best of trips in the stretch run after stalking position. That probably cost him a better position at the end. It wasn't the day to win, but first off the break, probably need the race also. Before that, he ran at Belmont a mile and a half in the point of entry. victory on soft ground. He finished fourth by 13 lengths. He closed up, he set the pace early on, and then he just never got into it. It wasn't the day to win. I'm looking at the wrong race where he closed up. We'll get to that in a second. And then before then, the Fine Stakes at Laurel Mile off the turf. He finished 8th by 15 lengths. He's not a dirt horse. It wasn't the day to win. And then at Laurel Mile 16th off 25 Claimer. That day he closed up from mid-pack. He won by 1/4 lengths, and he had a great turn of foot. He won nicely. He's had blinkers on for his God knows how long already, since he's been a 2-year-old. But they're taking it off today. I think that should be a good idea, and I think he got a piece of it. He ran this race last year, but it was on the dirt where he finished third, but he's not a dirt horse. He's run his better numbers, I think, on turf. 10-1, I'm definitely going to use him here. And I'll also definitely use the number 7 horse, Real Story. This 4-year-old gelding by Fast Bullet. Ignacio Correa's trains. John Velazquez gets the leg up. This horse is most recent out and came in the Henry Clark at Laurel Mile on the 20th of April. He finished second by a neck. He set the pace most of the race up until the stretch run where he fought. He got caught right at the wire, but he still ran a massive race. Before that, at Gulfstream Mile 16th at Optional 75 Claimer, he finished second by a length. Again, he set the pace, got caught in the stretch, but he didn't weaken out of it. He just couldn't get in front of the Ticonderoga, who beat him, was a decent horse. And then the Secretariat at Arlington, a mile and a quarter, August 11th, finished 9th by 5 lengths. He didn't stay that mile and a quarter trip. I think the mile 16th, if he goes to the front end and sets some easy fractions, I think he might not be stopped. So at 10-1, he's a horse as a pace play. I'll use him on the ticket to keep me covered. But to recap my selection for the 12th from Pimlico, it's the featured turf event of the weekend. It's the Grade 2 Dixie. Top selection, I'll take the 11 horse Inspector Lindley. I'll go 11-2-7-12 in the superfecta, 11-2-7 in the multi-race pick 4 or 5, whatever I decide to play. So now let's get to the featured 13th race from Pimlico. The featured 13th race from Pimlico, it is the Preakness Stakes. It's a Grade 1 event going for a purse of $1.5 million added. It's for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 13 horses, a baker's dozen, going the distance of ground of 1,900 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.316 on the Pimlico main track. 1,900 meters, 1.316 main track. My top selection in this year's Preakness, I'm going to go to the rail to the 1-horse War of Will. I'm going to go 1-4-12-2 in the superfecta, 1-4-12-2 super. My top selection, 1-horse War will be used on my multi-race pick 5 or 4 ticket, along with the 4-horse Improbable, and with the 12-horse Another Twist of Fate. So I'm going to go 3 deep here to end off the multis, but the top selection is 1-horse War of Will. This 3-year-old called by Warfront. Mark Hassey trains. Tyler Gaffleone, looking for his first American Classic, gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came the 4th of May at Churchill. Sloppy. They said it was sealed, but it wasn't, because they opened up the track when the horses were walking over, so it was an open track. Mile and a quarter in the Kentucky Derby. He finished 8th by 4.5 lengths. He ran a good, he was quarter horse out of the gate. He just couldn't get the lead. He stalked. He had a great trip up until about the 5/16. Then he got interfered with. And then he still ran a good race up until about the 16th pole, when he just kind of hit the wall. That's the kind of what if. What if he didn't get checked in the top lane when he won? He was running a good race up until then, and I thought he ran a good race, up until the 16th pole. I think back to a dry track, back to a 1.316, which is in his wheelhouse. I think he's sitting on a good race. Before that, he ran at the Fairgrounds 23rd of March, a 1.8 miles in the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby. He finished 9th by 12 lengths. He was sick that day. After the race, took some blood. He wasn't 100%, and he just wasn't into it. It wasn't the day to win. And then before that, in the Risen Star at the Fairgrounds, mile 16th, February the 16th, he won by 2 1/4. He stalked from Y Postra. He got the lead, and then he took off clear. A very nice race. And then LeCompte at the Fairgrounds, mile 70 on the 19th of January. He won by 4 lengths. Again, he stalked early on. He got the lead, and then he took off. I like how he can stalk a little bit in this race. There's going to be a little bit of speed in front of him, and I think at 4-1 from the rail, he could get a piece fit. So I'll use him along with the 4-horse Improbable. The rear colt by City Zip. Bob Baffert trains. Mike Smith gets on this one. I think a mile and at 3/16 is his preferred trip also. Last time on the Kentucky Derby at Churchill, mile and a quarter, May the 4th, he finished 5th by 3 1/4 lengths. He sat back early, and they're all bunched up on the backstretch, and he just never could get out. A little bit of a turn of it at the end. He didn't run half bad, but he was in traffic a lot of the way. I like him with a smaller field here today. If he could get a little bit closer to the front end, and I think he'll run a lot better. Also, dry tracks would suit him. Before then, the Arkansas Derby at Oakland, a mile and 1/8 on the slop. He finished second by a length there. He had a little bit of a turn of foot that day, but he just got beat by Omaha Beach, who was just that better horse there. And then before that, in the Rebel at Oakland, a mile 16th, he finished second by a neck that day. He sat back early from a wide postra. He had the lead, but then he got caught by long range Toddy. He was a little inexperienced there, but before that he won his first 3 races. Main special at Santa Anita very nicely, won the Preakness Stakes at Churchill very nicely, and won the Los Hollywood Futurity very nicely by 5 lengths. He's a horse, he's definitely good enough to win. I like him a lot. At 5-2 I'll use him, but he's not the best price in the world, I know. Another horse I think could use is Northern California based, the 12 horse, another Twist of Fate. 3-0 Colt by Scat Daddy. Blaine Wright trains. Jose Ortiz gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came in the Grade 3 Lexington at Keeneland, a mile and 1/16 April 13th. He finished second by 1 3/4 lengths. He just stalked most of the race and just couldn't get out. Owendale just closed up from the clouds that day. Before then, Sunland Derby at Sunland, a mile 1/8 March 24th. He finished second by a neck behind Cutting a Humor, who really, John Velasquez rode a brilliant race that day. This horse, he was just whining. He just missed at the end, but he ran a good effort, and then he won the El Camino Real Derby very nicely and broke his maiden at Golden Gate very nicely, won a allowance race and a non-1X at Golden Gate very nicely. He's a speed horse from the outside. He's going to have to leave, and if he could stay the trip, he could get a piece of it at 6-1. He's your wise guy horse. Let's talk about the other horses in this race, shall we? The 2-horse Bourbon War, who I have 4th on my superfecta ticket, he could get a piece of it. If say a horse scratches in one of the other races today on my ticket, I might use him on the pick 4 also, but he's a closer here. His most recent outing came in the Florida Derby, where he finished 4th by 7.5 lengths. He was, he would have finished better if they had a quicker pace in front of him. If Maximum Security didn't crawl on the front end, he would have possibly, did a lot better and got into the Derby. But this horse, with slow pace in front of him, didn't suit him. It wasn't the day to win. But before then, the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream, mile 16th with the fast pace, he finished second by 3/4 length, and he was closing up well. It was a very good run. And then off 75 at Gulfstream, mile 16th, January the 18th, he won by 2 1/4, and he just went away with it, closing up well. He's a closer. He can get a piece of it at the end. Like I said, if a horse scratches in one of my other races for the pick 5, I might use him here. I just don't want the ticket to go so expensive. Well, to the point of I'll probably use him actually now. Still think he's stepping up in loads of class here. He'll be with the front runners early on, but I just don't think he's good enough to win. I'm not going to use him. The 5-horse Owendale, he's another closer. I'll use him on the high 5 or super ticket, but he's not good enough to win. He's just going to have to run that bang-on race, which I just don't see. Market King, another horse. His last 2 weren't the best races in the world. I think he's a sprinter. Don't think he's going to stay the trip. The 7-horse Always Mining is a weird horse. My thoughts on him is he's going to run a massive race or he's going to run a crap race. There's going to be no in-between. He's been beating all the horses here in Maryland, but those Tessio winners just traditionally don't do well in the Preakness. He's been beating nobodies. The big horse he beat was Win, who ran the Derby, ran crap. But I just don't. I don't. He's either going to run big or bad. I'm leaning towards he's just not going to get a piece of it. I won't use him. The 8-horse Single Man, I'll use him on the bottom of the supers and tries and exact and super high 5s. He's probably not going to win, but he's a horse. He'll close up well for those bottom positions. Bodie Express, he ran a good Derby up until about the quarter pole, but then he kind of weakened out of it. He's a horse. I'll be with pace setters, but I just don't think he's good enough to win. Let him go break the maiden before they win the Preakness, and then the 10-horse Everfast, another horse. He's a workhorse. He's making his 11th start today. Excuse me. And he's just that kind of horse. His last three races were absolutely crap against some nobody horses. Now he's running in the Preakness. I just don't see it. If he wins today, I'll be shocked. But he's not a horse I'm not going to use anywhere. The 11 horse Laughing Fox. He did win at Oaklawn very nicely. He's a horse. He's going to have to improve a lot. Maybe at the end of a super high 5 ticket, but not for win. Like I said, I'm using another Twist of Fate, the 12 horse, and the 13 horse win. You know, I don't think he liked the sloppy track at Churchill. You know, he's another horse that could set the pace or close up a little bit at the end. The mile 3/16 trip scares me a little bit with him. You know, he's a horse I would bet in the King's Bishop or the what's the other race? The Woody Stevens. I just wouldn't bet him here. It's just not my use here. Even though he's getting blinkers on today, I'm just not going to use him. So to recount my selection for the feature 13th race from Pimlico, it's the Grade 1 $1.5 million Preakness Stakes. Top selection, I'm going to go with the one horse War Will. I'm going to go 1-4-12-2 in the superfecta, and like I said, I'll go 1-4-12-2 in the multi-race. I'll include Bourbon War in that ticket. So 1-4-12-2 for me here in the Preakness. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.